Before this episode of the podcast begins, I need your help once more. I know in the last match week predictions, I asked for you to give, in your opinion, your team's best player on paper. And I have not forgot about that, promise you, I really do. And that's where this piece of information becomes really important, because that video is not actually going to be a video. It's going to be a live stream in which you can get involved. I'm going to be setting up a live stream, and I need you to set your reminders right now. It's going to be a live tier list where I rank all of your team's best players on paper that you suggested, because you're amazing in your support, and I do not think that deserves to be wasted. So this Saturday at 7 p.m, get in the live stream. Set your reminders now so you get notified when I go live, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe on that once again. And also you can give your thoughts in the live chat right now, because it's running as we speak, so make sure you don't miss that. Anyway, this Saturday I'm going to be tier listing. I need your help. Again. Get in the live chat, help me out. Interactive live stream tier list. I want you to be there, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, I'm going to stop talking. I just need to let you know about that information right now. Let's get into this episode of the podcast. Enjoy. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Unfan Podcast, and welcome to my Game Week 7/8 predictions. Some teams have played 6 games and some teams have already played 7. So there isn't actually a set game week this weekend, but either way, it doesn't matter, because 12 games of League One football are happening and all 24 teams are going head to head. So a jam-packed weekend of League One football, one that I cannot wait for. My team, Oxford United, are away at Cheltenham Town. I can't wait to go to Cheltenham Town. Go to that ground and hopefully experience an Oxford United win. I'm not entirely sure though. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Oxford United on the road so far this season have not been great, have they? They haven't been great, but hopefully against Cheltenham on Saturday we can turn that into somewhat of a positive. Either way though, not just Oxford United, that's not just what we're talking about today. We're going to be going across all 24 teams and predicting your team's game week predictions, really. That's what we're doing. That's in the title and in the name, really. We're going to start off with Accrington Stanley against Wigan Athletic. Please remember as well, if you enjoy this sort of content, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe, both of which are free and easy. I would have explained the live stream at the start of the episode, so I won't be talking about that again now, but either way, you know what you got to do. You got to set your reminders, because you do not want to miss that. Hopefully, very interesting and, more importantly, interactive episode of the pod. So certainly go and do that. Without further ado, though, let's crack on with the first game that we're going to be predicting. I can't read the future. I would, if I could, I would buy the winning lottery ticket. So, of course, I'm not offending you, hopefully, if I predict your team not to get the result you would have wanted to. So please don't hate me forever if I do such a thing. Let's go with the first team, then. Let's go with Accrington Stanley against Wigan Athletic. A big game. A very big game. Accrington Stanley are currently sat in the playoff spots. Does that mean much this early in the season? I'll let you to decide that. I'm probably going with no after Accrington Stanley have only played 7 games. It's quite hard to say that that's where they're going to finish come the end of the season. And for Wigan, they are currently in second, but they've played less. They're in they played 6 games as of recording. They've won 4, drawn 1, and lost the other. As for Accrington Stanley, they've actually lost 3, but won the other 4. So, I mean, to be honest, this game's going to be quite tight, isn't it? Both teams have had fairly good starts to the season, and I think this is going to be, like I said, a really quite fascinating, maybe an insightful game of football. How are two teams that have had good starts to the season and have had quite promising starts to this league campaign, how are they going to fare when they go against each other at Accrington Stanley as well? So I think if it was Wigan at home, which it's not, but if I give it an example, I think that you probably expect Wigan to probably win the game in front of their fans, but having it being, with it being at Accrington, I think that changes it slightly. I think that's going to make it even more interesting, because I'd say Wigan are the favourites when you look at player for player, but adding that sort of that home advantage really does take a twist on it, and that's when having the fans back is really quite interesting. I still think we're going to win the game, and my prediction is going to be 2-1. A very tight game, and it is probably going to be and that's why it wouldn't surprise me if it's going to be a draw because of that home advantage. But I'm going to go with a Wigan win. Could easily be a draw, but I'm going to go with the Wigan win. I'm going to go with Accrington Stanley 1, Wigan Athletic 2. So, moving on then to the next team, we'll go with AFC Wimbledon against Plymouth Argyle. Really interesting one, this one. Once again, I'm going to say this for every fixture, but it's true. In League One this season, anything can happen. And currently, AFC Wimbledon are currently sat in 4th place in the League One season campaign. 3 wins, 3 draws, and a single loss. And for Plymouth Argyle, they're currently sat in 8th place with 3 wins, 1 defeat and 2 draws. So, Again, two teams that have had fairly promising, I'd say, good starts to this season. Again, it's going to be quite interesting. And I think, honestly, it's going to be very, very tight. I think it's going to be a tight game. AFC Wimbledon have got very, very good players when it comes to attacking set pieces. And I'd probably also say defending set pieces because, Nightingale, for one, has done a really, really good job against Oxford United in the air. And when it comes to crosses, I think it was 2 corners we conceded from. No, it was a corner, and I think it was a free kick we conceded from the other day. So it proves that AFC Wimbledon are very, very good at set pieces, or Oxford United are poor at defending them. I'll leave that one for you and for the Wimbledon fans out there. I think it's going to be quite a fair game, though. And with Plymouth, they've got good players. They've got the likes of Jeff Gott. They've got the likes of Hardy. 2 really, really good attacking players in there as well. Not to mention, they've got some really, really good defensive players as well, of course. But those 2 really do come to mind when I think of Plymouth this season. 2 really, really good, exciting strikers, exciting forwards. Like I said, Wimbledon as well. They've got really, really good players. In that squad, and have proved this season to look like a real force. For that reason, I think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to be a tight game, like I said. I think, like the first game with that Crusader against Wigan, that's going to be a tight game as well. I did edge with Wigan winning that one. I think this one really is going to be that tight enough to be 1-1. So yeah, I'm going to go with AFC Wimbledon 1, Plymouth Argyle 1. Next, then we're going to go with Bolton Wanderers against Rotherham United. Again, there's some huge games. There's some huge games this weekend with really quite tight affairs. You talk about Bolton Wanderers. They again have had they're another team that have had a really good start to the season. They're currently sat in 3rd, and Rotherham United are currently sat in 13th. Like I said there, Rotherham United, out of all the teams so far, they actually have the lowest place finish so far. I say lowest place in terms of where they currently are in the league table, but again, I think they've done quite well, really. I think they've done okay. Maybe not the sort of amazing start that you would expect from a team that's just been relegated from the Championship, but either way, I still think they've had a decent start to the season. It's those 3 losses, really, isn't it? It's those 3 losses, and then you've got those 3 wins. If you can turn some of those defeats into draws, it's suddenly looking a lot better. They've had some really quite difficult results to take recently, and that's why it goes from being a good start to, I'd probably say, an okay to decent start, if you like. But again, it's so early in the season that Rotherham United could still theoretically, and may even, go on and put on a serious promotion push, maybe even a title push. At the start of the season, you probably would expect that sort of thing from Rotherham United. But I still think there's a lot more to come from them. They've got really, really good set of players there, and they have had some moments this season so far where they haven't looked amazing. But against Bolton Wanderers, I think it's going to be a real test, because Bolton look great. I've seen Bolton play this season, and to be honest, they deserve to be where they are. They've looked really, really good. They haven't been great in every game. They have lost a game, and they've also had a few draws in there as well that maybe they would expect it to win, or maybe they feel like they could have won. But in those winning games, and in the games that they have won, I thought they've looked really, really good, especially against Oxford United, with a game that I really sort of watched that and broke that game down. They really, really used the flanks well. They used those attacking fullbacks really, really well as well. They were coming forward, helping out, on the flanks and putting balls in the area, getting in the area themselves as well, and causing issues. So I really thought that Bolton Wanderers are going to be a team to watch out for. I said it in my predictions. I'm saying it again now. That they have actually had a good start, and against Rotherham, who haven't had an amazing start but an okay start, I think Bolton will win this game. I'm going to go with 3-1. But yeah, again, I think it could be a tight game. I think Bolton are going to edge it, though, fairly more comfortable than the previous 2 predictions. So I'm going to go with Bolton 3, Rotherham United 1. So next time we're going to look at Cheltenham Town against Oxford United, and predicting Oxford United games is always one of my ones that I just don't like doing. I don't think I've got one prediction from my Oxford United predictions correct yet. So yeah, it's not looking great. And once again, with my prediction here, I'm probably going to jinx it again. I probably am. It's just the way it is at this point. But I think Cheltenham Town so far, a team that's just been promoted, a newly promoted side, they've looked very, very good. They have looked good, considering they've just been promoted into this league. Currently sat in 14th, winning 2 games, only losing 2, and 3 draws in there as well. It's with me, I think it's a really, really good start for them. And the first season is the important season. The first season is staying in the league. Can they stay in the league? And so far, I'd say that it's very, very early days. It's 7 games in. But of course, if you're looking at having a good start, when you're a team that's just been promoted, it's so important that getting your first points on the table, that first win, the earlier you get that first win when you get promoted into a new division, is the most important time for your football club when you get promoted into it. It's about that, getting those first points on the table. And Cheltenham have done that. They've done it on 5 occasions with those 3 draws, getting them the 3 points and the extra, the 6 points from those 2 wins as well. So they've been able to do that. And that's the most important thing. Going against an Oxford United side that I've watched pretty much every game so far this season, other than one. And I think I've just been very, very impressed with them. I've just been very, very impressed with Oxford United. There's been areas where I haven't been too impressed, but generally on the whole, I have been very impressed because the start of the season for Oxford have never been fantastic. They've never been great. And when I look and break games down, and when I look and look at us generally from sort of a more general perspective, I have been impressed. There's been areas of our game that haven't been great. If Cheltenham can get a few set pieces against Oxford United and cause us problems through that, then maybe. But then we did play against a team that are probably the king of set pieces against Wycombe last weekend, and we generally look quite good at defending them. So it is one of those times. It is probably one of those things, and set pieces is one of those things I think personally where you're going to have to probably concede and have a really bad game at conceding them before then the coaching team, before the team then sort themselves out, and then they tend to be pretty decent at them. Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping. I may have just jinxed it. That's what I'm hoping. But if Cheltenham Town are going to get anything from this game, as well as maybe just outplaying us, which I doubt they can do, that doesn't mean being arrogant. I just think that Oxford United will be able to deal with that. I think Oxford, when it comes to keeping hold of the ball and creating chances on the floor, I think Oxford United have got a really, really good chance of doing that with the way that we do play. So yeah, I'm going to go with Oxford United winning the game closely though, away from home. It's going to be a test. It'll be really important to get Oxford United's first points of the season. I mean, actually 3 points on the road. That would be very, very important. We have got our first points on the road against Cambridge United in the first game of the season. But yeah, first win of the season away from home. It'd be very, very important. I'm going to go with Cheltenham Town 0, Oxford United 1. That's what I'm hoping for. I may have just jinxed it. Either way, let's move on. Next game, is Crewe Alexandra against Burton Albion. Another really, really interesting game of football. I'm going to keep saying it. Don't worry. I'm just going to continue to say it. And it is Crewe at home, a team that have not yet won a game this season. They've lost 4 and drawn twice. And Burton, who have had a pretty decent start to the season, to be honest, haven't they? 3 wins, 3 draws, and only 1 defeat to their name. So really, really quite an impressive start for Burton Albion. And probably, for Crewe, it hasn't been a great start. I haven't been impressed with what I've seen from Crewe, and I haven't seen a lot. I've only seen 90 minutes of football, but I think that's more than maybe a few people have seen of Crewe this season, unless you're a Crewe fan, in which case you've probably seen a lot more games of football than I have. But just looking and taking into consideration what I saw in those 90 minutes and the league table currently, that's what worries me a little bit for Crewe. That is what worries me a little bit, because there's teams that I'm going to be looking at this league table at the bottom end of the table that haven't actually seen play for 90 minutes. So in which case, my point is slightly dampened. But I think with Crewe, I have watched them play, and I am looking at the league table and seeing where they are. And I apologise to any Crewe fans. Like, this is not attacking you personally. But I'm not surprised. Does that make sense? I'm not surprised that you're down there playing the way that I've seen you play this season, because you just didn't look fantastic. I think losing some really key players, the Charlie Kirks, the Wintals as well. You've just lost some really important players that I think could have been and were last season and have been for a few seasons really, really significant, important players. For that reason, I think you are going to struggle against Burton, who have looked pretty decent. I'm going to go with Burton winning this game 2-0. Burton have looked good. Crewe have looked quite poor. That makes sense. I think Burton are going to win the game. Even though it is away for Burton, I still think they've got enough to win that game quite comfortably. So I'm going to go with 2-0. Next, then we've got Doncaster Rovers against Morecambe. I'm going to say it straight away. I think this is going to be a 0-0 draw. Doncaster this season are currently bottom of the league, and Morecambe are 18th. So it is a bit of a bottom of the table clash, even though technically on points, bottom of the table is probably around the 15th, 16th area so far. It's that close and that early in the season. But I think Morecambe and Doncaster had a pretty abysmal start to this season. 5 defeats and only 1 draw. As for Morecambe, they have won 2, but they've lost 3 and drawn 1. They have played one game less than the few teams around them, only with 6. So, to be honest, I think it's going to be quite an interesting one, isn't it? I think, to be honest, 0-0 is probably quite nice towards the Doncaster point of view, to be honest. Morecambe could win this game, but I'm going to go with 0-0. I think it's going to be a tight, edgy, not boring, but slow affair. I think it's going to be 0-0. The point shared there, but it wouldn't surprise me actually if Morecambe came away with a win, because if you look at it on paper, Morecambe have looked better so far this season. But it is at home for Doncaster. For that reason, I think it is going to be a draw, 0-0. Next, then we're going to go Fleetwood Town against Sunderland. Let's see what the prediction I've gone with here. Fleetwood are currently sat in 17th in the league table. I know it's very, very early in the season, but either way, we should take it into consideration, especially from a Sunderland perspective, who currently are sat top of the league table. Only one defeat, the rest of them being wins, 5 wins, only 6 games played compared to the teams that are actually below them on pretty much 7 points. They have played a game less than the other teams below them and have looked really, really good. They have looked fantastic. For a team that always look like they're going to get promoted. They always look like they're going to get promoted, and then it just sort of falls apart, and they've never really been able to get out of, well, they haven't been able to get out of League One, they're still in it now, obviously, but, you really hope this is going to be the year they do it, and they just don't quite do it this season, and I'm sorry if I'm jinxing this from a Sunderland perspective. Looks to be the season where they really could have that amazing start, and then they can sort of afford to have a little bit of a wobble, but because of their fantastic start they've made, they can sort of afford to have that and still go on and get promoted. That's what I predict will happen. But you're not asking me what Sunderland are going to do for the rest of the season. You're asking me what Sunderland are going to do away against Fleetwood on Saturday. I think they're going to win. Short and sweet, I think they're going to win. I think they're better than Fleetwood. They've been better than Fleetwood this season. I wouldn't sleep on Fleetwood completely, but I would say in this game, Sunderland are going to be winning this game, in my opinion. I'm going to go with 3-1. I think Fleetwood may give them a game in certain areas and certain parts of the game, but generally I think when we look at it player for player, who's played the better football this season, who I think is going to cause the most problems going forward, it'd probably be Sunderland. Who's got the better defence so far this season? I mean, statistics say it's going to be Sunderland. You put 2 and 2 together, I think Sunderland are going to win this game. That's what I'm trying to say. But it wouldn't surprise me if Fleetwood do match them in areas, maybe do score a goal. But generally, I think I'm going to go with a Sunderland win. Go Fleetwood 1, Sunderland 3. Next, then, we've got Gillingham against MK Dons. Again, this is a game that I really could cause. There could be some goals in this game. I'm not going to lie, could be some goals. I predicted goals. Gillingham are currently sat in 19th, and MK Dons are currently sat in a playoff position of 5th place. It's away at Gillingham, who do play a certain style of play under a certain type of manager. But I still think against MK Dons, I think they're going to get a draw from it. I think they're going to score goals. I think there's going to be goals in this game. Now, should I think that they're going to score goals? I don't know. We'll see how many goals exactly Gillingham have scored so far this season. They've scored 6, conceded 7. So they have scored 6 goals, and as for MK Dons, who I know have scored goals, and hence why I did predict this, it was more sort of what Gillingham scored, but I saw the amount of goals that MK Dons have scored. I know the way that MK Dons are playing currently under quite an attacking, sort of attacking mentality and attacking style. 12 goals they've scored. I just think in this circumstance there's going to be goals. MK Dons have actually conceded 9 as well, even though they've scored 12. They have actually conceded 9 as well. And like we said, Gillingham have also conceded goals. But even for the team that are currently sat in 19th, have actually again scored goals. So that's why I think it's going to be quite a high scoring affair. I'm going to go with 2-2 in this game, a draw. Wouldn't surprise me if MK Dons maybe edge it, but generally with the home fans with Gillingham, I'm going to go with a win. I'm going to believe in the Gillingham boys. I'm going to believe in the style under Steve Evans. I'm going to go with 2-2. Quite a nitty gritty game in areas, I believe, but generally quite a good game of football with goals, with excitement. 2-2 is my prediction there. Lincoln then against Ipswich Town. Let's see what's going to happen here. I think every time I've done a prediction so far, I've said this is the week that Ipswich are going to win the game. This is the game that Ipswich are going to turn their season around. Has it happened yet? No, it hasn't. They're still yet to get a single win on the league table. That's the word. 3 defeats and 3 draws as well. This is not an easy game though, is it? Against Lincoln, have just got a draw yesterday as of recording against Rotherham 1-1, and how slowly but surely clawing up the league table. They have lost 3, but they've won 2 and drawn 2, and can really pretty quickly claw up the table. It's that early in the season. Still very early in the season. They can claw up the table and have a good season like they did last year. As for Ipswich, they're hoping that this was going to be their really good season, a bit like Lincoln last year. Hasn't been the case, has it? They've brought players in. Maybe the question is, have they brought too many players in, because it's taken a while to gel, 6 games into the season, not getting a win. There's going to be a bit of a worry around the club, isn't there? There's going to be a little bit of a worry. Maybe a big worry. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not part of the Ipswich fan base, but looking at it from an outside point of view, I think I'd be slightly worried. Not panicking, but I would be a little bit like, we have invested, we have brought players in, we have added to this squad, and we've brought what I believe are high quality players in, but yet they're not gelling yet. Now, is that going to be a case if you see it 10 games and see where we are now, or do we start to make some changes at this point? I certainly don't think the manager's going to get sacked, because he deserves the time to use and be able to try and find a way of working this out with those players that he's brought in. But I do think for Ipswich, a team that have decided to put some wonga, if you like, into this season, they are going to be hoping to see and hopefully see some benefits, hopefully this year. For a team in their opposition, like I said, Lincoln City, who had a good season last year, they're going to hope to capitalise on what has been a poor start to Ipswich. They're in the relegation zone. They're currently sat in 22nd, so they're going to hope to be able to exploit that. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Lincoln winning the game 2-0, but that could be me. Now I've said that, this could be the game that Ipswich now finally do kickstart their season. A good win on the road to Lincoln City, who have looked quite good as of late. This could be the turning point, the big moment in the Ipswich camp. They've scored 10 goals, to be fair, but they've conceded 15. They've conceded the most in the league, so there is going to be worry there as well. But then they've scored 10, so they are one of the most high-scoring teams in the league as well. But defensively, they look all over the shop, and that seems very clearly the area they need to look at. I'm going to go with Ipswich winning. With Lincoln City beating Ipswich 2-0. But it wouldn't surprise if Ipswich do finally now get their sort of game-changing, season-changing result of the year. But no, I'm going to go with Lincoln City 2, Ipswich Town 0. Keep your eyes on Ipswich. This could be the week. Of course, this really could be the week. But I'm going to stick with my guns. Lincoln 2, Ipswich 0. Apologies, Ipswich. Portsmouth then against Cambridge United. Let's see what I've got to say about this one then. Portsmouth, who are currently so far having a pretty average start to the season, currently sat in 11th, against Cambridge United, who are currently sat in 16th. So again, for a team that's just been promoted into the league, it's not bad, is it? It's not a bad start to the season. But Portsmouth are going to be hoping to win this game. I think they will win the game. I'm going to go with 3-1. I think Cambridge United in certain games of the season have looked very, very good. But I think Portsmouth, again, they're going to be hoping to sort of turn things around. And I think a lot of people have been focusing on Ipswich's bad start to the season. I wouldn't say Portsmouth, it's not. Portsmouth are not bad as bad as that. But Portsmouth secretly do want to be pushing for the playoffs, and they easily still could be. But yeah, they haven't set the world alight just yet. But yeah, it could be a matter of time. It really could be a matter of time. But so far, it's a bit of a slowish start for Portsmouth. I think this will be the game, though, where they really sort of light it up. I think they're going to beat Cambridge fairly comfortably. I'm going to go 3-1. Next, then, we've got Sheffield Wednesday against Shrewsbury Town. Shrewsbury currently sat in 21st, and Sheffield Wednesday currently sat in 12th. Another team that got relegated last season that aren't in the top end of the table. They're currently exactly in mid-table, currently sat in 12th. So a really quite surprising defeat last weekend. For Shrewsbury Town, though, they've looked better recently. They did have a horrific start to the season, if I'm not wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying they had a horrific start, and then recently they've been able to sort of claw it back slightly, sort of. But I do think Sheffield Wednesday have just got enough to win the game. I think when you look at the squad, you look player for player. I think when you got to do that sometimes. It's a cheating way of looking at it. I think Sheffield Wednesday will win the game. Not by smashing them. I'm going to go with 2-1. I think it's going to be quite a tight game because Shrewsbury are going to try and get something from it. They know that Sheffield Wednesday are quite wounded after a pretty surprising result of the weekend. But at the same time, you look at Sheffield Wednesday, they've got the quality, they've got the players, good squad, good set of players, good enough, I think, to beat Shrewsbury this weekend. I'm going to go with Sheffield Wednesday 2, Shrewsbury Town 1. And finally, then, the final prediction we're going with is Wycombe Wanderers against Charlton Athletic. Wycombe's, again, they've looked decent, haven't they? They've looked decent. It's very early in the season. They've only lost one game. They've won 3 and drawn 2. They looked like Wycombe. We thought Wycombe would be, really, when we saw them last weekend. You can look at it either way. They play not a slow game. It sort of is quite slow at times, quite a physical game. They like to frustrate the opposition, sort of play the opposition, and try and, I guess, mould them into their own hands, and then they can sort of pick off, if you like. It's quite hard to explain, but you know what I'm trying to say. Hopefully you do. They're basically trying to grind a team down and then be able to pick them off and then win the game like that. Hopefully I've explained that quite well, or as well as I could have done. They do play a physical game. They have got physical players. They've got the likes of Jacobson, who are very, very good players. They've got, some really, really good strikers and attackers as well. They've got some powerful players all over the football pitch. Some huge defenders. One, I think, is on loan from Hull City, or they've got him from Hull City. He's got. I think it's like a. It's not. I can't pronounce the name, but he's a powerful, beautifully built centre half, a giant of a centre half, a beautifully moulded defender, if you like, especially at this league with that physicality. It fits Wycombe's style to a T, and they're going to be a really quite difficult team to play against. And Charlton are going to be the team that have got to do that. A team that, again, a bit like Ipswich, haven't been great, have they? They're currently sat in 20th. They have lost 4 games, only won one and drawn the other. Charlton have, again, not been fantastic against Wycombe, who have been decent. I think Wycombe are going to win the game 1-0. Quite a tight game, because I think Wycombe will know. And I think Charlton will be up for this game, because Charlton know they need to see a result. They need a result. They need a response. So a game against Wycombe, against a team that got relegated last season, it would be a massive result, a massive win for them. It could be that change in fortune that they need. It could be that change in mentality that they desire. And against Wycombe, this feels like the game they could do that. They have going to have to play a certain way. Saying that, Charlton have got the perfect striker, if you like, to be able to capitalise on that Wycombe situation with the big defender. They've got Jaden Stockley. Against those big defenders, that maybe could work, and that could work in Charlton's favour. Either way, I do think Wycombe are going to win the game. Having said that, I'm going to go with Wycombe 1, Charlton Athletic 0, and that does wrap up my predictions for this match week. Again, like I said, I'm not offending, hopefully, your team personally if I don't predict your team to get the result that you want. I'm just giving my predictions and trying to do my best in saying what I think roughly is going to happen. But like I said, I will not get every single one of them right, probably ever, and I probably will get the majority of these wrong, so don't worry. I do not know anything, and this will definitely not influence your team's actual result on Saturday. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Remember to set a reminder, that live stream coming very, very soon. That's very, very exciting, and you've helped me out, so you deserve to be part of that. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. These have been my match week 7/8 predictions for League One this weekend. Have a good rest of your day. I've been Jack. This has been the Unfan Podcast. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all in a bit.